Attracted to things that begin. So I entered the inspection business when it was in its infancy and before it actually became a licensed profession. I was actually remodeling historic homes. And during the course of that, a childhood friend of mine saw an article about me in a local newspaper on the Sunday edition. I was sitting in one of my homes being interviewed and said, and his father happened to be one of the first 3 home inspectors before it was a licensed trade. And he said, why don't we go and talk to him about coming into business with us? So I'd taken houses apart, put in houses back together again, and they said, this would be a natural fit for you. Would you consider coming and partnering in our business? So I thought about it, and I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try. And that was 24,000 inspections ago. And that was also 39 years ago.
Wow.
And so from a point of view, I entered the industry before it became official. And then as it became an industry, I was here as it evolved.
Wow. 39 years.
Yes, sir. And
25,000 inspections.
Yeah, between 24 and 25,000. I'll have to work on go back and count the number. But
That's
yes,
great. You know that market now is very. It's still very strong sellers market, and people are, I have buyers that sometimes they would like to skip an inspection, and I know, not my buyers, I never advise them to skip an inspection. But what would you say these people? Because you have seen 25,000 houses.
Yes.
Inspected. Actually, you have seen more, but you inspected 25,000. What would you say these kind of buyers?
Well, certainly realize this. If you're in that scenario where you're paying above what we would call the average price, I think it's important to realize that homes decay over time. Homes have problems over the time. Homes age over time. And I would have a very difficult time because of all the things I've seen in homes, buying a home without an inspection. And if I did that because it's the only way I could get the contract, I would certainly inspect it afterwards to figure out how do I need to budget for the things that are here. Because there are some items that you need to budget for that can increase over time. If you didn't know what they were, the problem would get worse and become more expensive. Many of them not so, but some of them could be, like foundation problems, for example, can become more pronounced over time, become more expensive. And if you could at least develop a baseline of where are we today and make that repair, you could stop the progression, if you will, of the repair. Then maybe perhaps another thing, safety items that people would not be aware of. So, and you want to be aware of that, like garage doors that don't reverse, or potential shock hazards, or potential gas line connections that can become hazardous if lightning strikes the house. Things you wouldn't know about, but are helpful with having an inspection process.
All right. You mentioned foundations.
Yes.
So DFW is very famous with that issue.
Yes.
Tell the audience more about the foundations. I know that you have a pretty much extensive background in foundation, and a lot of buyers that are coming out of state, they are not familiar with that issue here. Why our homes has foundation issues, and tell us more about the foundation in DFW.
Thank you, Victor. Well, and I appreciate you providing the Bulgarian translation for the 7 witnesses. I have a set of videos online talking about foundations and how to evaluate them, and you were kind enough to lend your expertise, so I appreciate that as well. Well, foundations, we have clay soil here, unlike any place else on earth. So we can have too much water or not enough, which violently can impact foundations here. They know how to design them now, as long as the drainage is correct. If the drainage is not correct, you can end up with foundation problems. Associated with that as well is houses that are now aging out to 50 to 70 years of age. that have cast iron sewer lines where the sewer lines can begin to leak underneath the slab and create problems for the foundation because water begins to drain underneath the slab. So basically what you have is too much water or not enough creates a problem for a foundation where a foundation or the weight of a house basically is 30 to 50 pounds per square foot, but the ground will lift 300,000 pounds per square foot. So it's important to make the ground your ally and not your enemy. If you can keep the ground around your home consistently damp, the 2 feet that surround the outside perimeter back into the 2 feet from the edge of the wall, the ground will lift or support 300,000 pounds per square foot there, whereas a house doesn't weigh near that. So that's the beginning point. And then it's important for home buyers to educate themselves. My videos are online, for example, at Bickham Consulting that give a very simple analysis. It would take about 12 minutes to see all the videos. It's very condensed to help a person see the things they should be looking for, maybe in the home they already live in, but homes that they would be looking at buying.
Yeah, great. Just a very quick, just mention these 7 witnesses. Very quick, not for 12 minutes. Everybody that would like to see it, they can go to your video. But what are the major signs? And it's not only for home buyers, it's the homeowners, because a lot of them are concerned. And sometimes each crack and everything that has in the house, people just freak out and they, oh my God, I have foundation issues. So what would people should look at as a sign of foundation issue?
That is a great question, and I appreciate that question because also I know you, and I know the depth that you address issues with your clients. I've met you before. So it is important to recognize signs of foundation movement, but just because you have a drywall crack or brick cracks like you were alluding to doesn't mean you have a foundation problem per se. The importance of the 7 witnesses, the way I'm evaluating foundations is you look at factor number 1, factor number 2, factor number 3, factor number 4, or freeze boards, where a brick ends and the eave begins, Victor. You have a freeze board, and if that separates, that's an indication that the corner has settled. Also on the outside of a house, you can look for brick cracks. They generally step crack. You can also look from one corner to the other. When the brick mason laid the wall, that line was parallel the day he laid it, unless it was a Monday or a Friday, and it might have been a little shaky. but generally they're straight, and if they dip it near the corners, what you have is an indication of settlement. And then you also look where bricks and windows align with one another. Then you take those 4 factors on the outside and come inside to look at the floor level adjacent those areas, drywall adjacent those exterior areas, and door alignment adjacent those exterior areas. Because every week and every month and every year that I've been in business for all these years, it's inevitable that you will see a door that sticks or some drywall cracks or some bricks that crack, but it just means you live in DFW. It doesn't mean necessarily that you've got foundation problems.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, okay. That's important because a lot of people, I have, clients and buyers and past clients that are calling me time to time. Oh my God, I have foundation issues. So not everything that is a crack is a foundation. We know that probably most of the houses in DFW area has some cracks. There is no.
Yes. Welcome to real life. I started getting some wrinkles here lately.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So when you inspect the house, and I have a lot of your inspection reports, and usually inspectors they find many things there. I mean, even with the new homes, what's the most important things you would advise buyers to focus when they buy a house in the inspection report?
Yes. I think first, hopefully they're working with the inspector and inspection report that they can read. And if there's anything that's not clear to them, circle back with the inspector and ask the inspector to say it in common language. So sometimes inspectors get too overly technical, and you want to make sure that you understand what did you just say to me. So I would think first thing, make sure that the buyer and the realtor understand exactly what the inspector has just said. Because sometimes you hear 50 things and you don't know if 50 of them are all big things or they're all little things. So with that being said, you want to put the information that you got from the inspection into context. Where are my potentially big losses? Like earlier today, I found water underneath a hardwood floor, and the seller thought that it was from a leak 5 years ago, but I put a moisture meter into the floor and the floor was wet. So actually, there's a leak going on now that the seller actually didn't know about. So that would be putting information into context, because that information was in a seller's disclosure statement, but it was thought to be old and not current. So, and then once you find items in the inspection report, you want to quantify them, because all the items that show up as deficient or defective are not necessarily expensive. So you want to look at how much money am I about to have to expend on the repairs that are noted here. And then there are some items that are not expensive, but they cost you your life. So they're important to repair, like a GFI that's malfunctioning, or an electrical short that didn't take much to fix, or a garage door that wasn't reversing with manual resistance. Don't cost a lot of money to repair, but the effect of what they have, if they do not work correctly, is harm to people. So I think to capsule it, I would say, look at the cost to repair of the items that are listed. Make sure that you understand what the inspector just said to you. And if there are safety items that could harm life or harm you, make sure that you address those, even if they're not expensive.
Okay, yeah, because they can look on the inspection report not only as a tool to negotiate repairs and some money, but as information about their house and how to maintain it. And
Oh, yes.
this is a big value of the inspection report as well.
Yeah, it actually creates a list, because many times there are things that are not worthy of repair or negotiation, but it's the beginning of your handyman list, or the list you're going to take over when you own the home. So that's a outstanding way to start that list and begin maintaining and caring for the home, and also finding good contractors to work with.
New construction.
Yes.
A lot of people say, we don't need third-party inspection on new construction. What would you say?
New construction makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Here's why. It's really never been road tested. No one's ever lived in it. No one's lived in it for 24/7, 365. No one's flushed the commodes every day. No one's run the lights every day. It hasn't rained on the house for years. It hasn't had crazy storms. It hasn't had drought. There's been no testing of it, if you will. And even in an inspection, Victor, it's not possible to find everything on a brand new house, because I can't simulate living in a house, for example. But I run a lot of water. I turn on everything that you can possibly turn on. And in new homes, Victor, I have found sewers that were not connected to the sewer tap, multi-million-dollar homes where there was no hot water to the bathtub, multi-million-dollar homes where there was no electricity to the living room, very expensive home where the two-story home, the living room had no airflow to it, and there was a room above it. They were going to have to tear the ceiling out to make the ducts work. So just because it's new doesn't mean that they got all the details right, and it's a small amount of money really compared to the comfort that you can have knowing that, and hoping that your builder's still in business whenever you find something if it was bad.
So exactly that's the point, that, yeah, we have a warranty or something, yes, but if the builder is not in business, or you don't catch it on time before, and when you already live there, that's a headache. And honestly, what you said is about the sewer that it wasn't attached to the top. That's why I always recommend hydrostatic sewer test to my buyers, because you will never know that
No, and it's not possible. That's
until your foundation collapses.
right. Yes, exactly. That's very, very good. Those are things buried or hidden. How could you see them? You can't. And also realize that too for people listening. For $400 or $500 of an inspection, that's not exhaustive. You're doing the very best you can to look at inspections were designed to be a mile wide and 3 inches deep to catch big things, not to be totally exhaustive. If we were going to do an exhaustive inspection of most regular house, it'd be $2,500 to $3,000 and literally bring specialists in to take things apart. But that's not what's done, and you don't want to necessarily spend that too when you've got a down payment and other things. So what's worked for all these years since inspectors were first licensed in '86 is to do the inspection process. And if you're buying in Texas, we were the first state to license, the first state to have a standards of practice. Like literally, we have pioneered many of the best practices in the industry since its inception. So this is a good place to buy, in my opinion.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Yes. I didn't know it.
Yes.
So you have visited 25,000 homes, and as a realtor, I have seen many things. When I show a house, but you just look at everywhere in the house. What was the weirdest thing you ever saw in a house?
Oh, this is some good ones.
Funniest and weirdest.
I was in a house in an attic one time, and I was looking for a leak in the roof, and I had to kind of step by the air conditioner. And as I did, I came across a snake skin that had molted, and the snake skin was longer than me. I'm 6'4". The snake skin was longer than me, and I'm wondering, where is this snake? That was a strange one. I was in another home right on the outskirts of McKinney, and I go into the home, and it's vacant, except that it's totally occupied. Every room is occupied by black widow spiders. And literally, there are black widow spiders in every corner of every room in the home. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. And the doors had enough cracks in them so that bugs and insects were getting into the home and coming in, and the spiders were having a feast. That was kind of different.
Wow.
Like,
oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, mold. A lot of people are just freaking out about mold. What would you say about this?
Well, from an inspector point of view, that's outside of the scope of inspectors. You need an environmental engineer if you wanted to process that. Of course, anyone can look to see are there stains, and are there wet stains, and are they dark wet stains. But you can't tell if mold is the bad type by just looking at it. You have to have it sampled. And then also, I unfortunately was in a home where there was bad mold in the air conditioning system that I didn't know about, nor did the sellers, because the home had been foreclosed on. So if you're doing mold sampling, you get an environmental engineer he'll take samples if he or she can find a place to actually sample physically. But as important or more important is to sample the air in the home to see is there bad mold in the air that you're breathing, because this home had that I'm thinking of, had no visible mold that you could sample, and yet we found out later that the air was badly contaminated.
Wow.
Yes.
So your inspection not always can catch the mold.
Right, and we don't. Like, I'm not licensed to do it, but you're looking for, inspectors definitely are looking for water penetration. Like today I found water in the kitchen floor. But no stains anyplace, just the floor was rippling, so I knew that there was a chance there was water underneath it. So if there is a concern, or if you had a family member who is hypersensitive or allergic, that's good precaution to take, to hire someone to come sample the air. That's money well spent.
Yeah, all the money for the health are well spent.
Very good question. Yep. And there are also air conditioning pieces, accessories that can be added with ultraviolet light and or hydrogen peroxide that's spritzed into the supply air of air conditioning systems that kills bacteria and viruses. There are all kinds of things possible. And also the brand new homes have fresh air intake. So literally the air changes over on a regular basis, and it's built into many of the new homes now as well.
So, Sammy, our relationship is not only business. I mean,
Yes.
we do a lot of business, but I introduced you to the Bulgarian yogurt. Have you tried recently?
Well, I think that's what held things together here, Victor, really. It's the yogurt. You can't get culture like that anyplace else but that Bulgarian yogurt.
Yep, I make it at home.
You changed my life.
Okay, so I'm promoting Bulgarian yogurt. I make it at home.
Yes. You make it at home?
Yeah.
Well, if you can pass that culture forward, I'll be glad to take some of that off your hands.
I will do. Okay.
Thank you, Victor.
How people can reach you out if they decide to accept me and other realtors? How can they reach out to you? Website, phone number, any contact information?
Well, our phone number is 972-774-9242, and Bickham Consulting, Inc. is our website. They can come online and actually make an appointment in the top left-hand corner. It says make an appointment. And if they didn't want to do that, there's useful information on our website as well, like vendors I've known for 30 years, for example, and helpful hints for after you moved into your home, like helpful hints. So feel free to come to the website, and then also go look at the YouTube videos because they will be educational. If you're living in DFW, you need to understand foundations. And so I've tried to make it simple and quick to help any homeowner who's currently owns one, and how to manage it better, or figure out if they've got a problem, or for a new homeowner to look and say, hey, are any of these indicators there? So BickhamandConsulting.com, Bickham and or 972-774-9242.
Great. And you have a YouTube channel?
A YouTube channel, Bickham Consulting. 7 Witnesses is once you get onto the YouTube
Wonderful.
channel. And they're in different languages. So depending on, haven't obviously worked my way through all the languages on the planet, but if by the way, if any of you are looking at it and you speak multiple languages and you'd like to help me translate for you or your friends, feel free to contact me when you've done that, and I'll add you to the language translations.
Wonderful. Well, thank you much for coming.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay.
Hope to see you again.
Always. It will be soon. And now, what's new coming to Frisco? Frisco keeps growing and new developments keep popping up. Current and prospective residents and businesses can look forward to new development. Mixed use of Firefly Park is coming to Frisco, promising to continue the trend of modern development. According to the article from the magazine, Firefly Park, this 230-acre development is anchored by a new luxury hotel. The hotel breaks ground in 2023 and opens in 2026. Anchoring the new mixed-use development, aptly named Firefly Park, according to the article, this project calls for 4.75 million square feet of office space and 2,200 residential units, including luxury mid and high-rise apartment and townhomes, and 380,000 square feet of planned retail space. The project is also set to include a music hall and outdoor amphitheater. Firefly Park Wilkes development adds from the article, "We are going to do it in spades in Frisco. We are all in. We believe this is a legacy deal and we may only get one opportunity to do a project like this on this scale." Wilkes Development is name you will hear from. Based in the West Texas town of Frisco, Wilkes Development has primarily focused on mixed-use, multifamily, and industrial projects in West Texas and west of Fort Worth. According to D Magazine, the firm also is developing a 200-acre business park called Markham Ranch in West Fort Worth and a land site in South Lake. That's about 2 miles from Fort Worth Alliance Airport. Firefly Park is the right name for this project, this article concludes. When asked why he chose the name Firefly Park, Wilkes says he wasn't about to choose a dull name. We want this place to be full of vibrancy and energy, he says. When you think about being a kid and running through the woods, you catch these fireflies and put them in a jar. To me, it brings back good memories of childhood and all the fun I had. We felt like this was a good opportunity to throw a curveball and go with something with a little more flair. Whether looking for property in Frisco, your search begins with Globus Realty. Contact Mr. Frisco when you are ready to make a splash in America's favorite city.